Welcome back to another episode of Graps and Yaps. This is your go-to podcast for everything pro wrestling. We're going to recap what's happened inside and outside of the ring from the last week. And whether you're a lifelong fan like us or you're just a victim of the wrestling algorithm, we appreciate you being here because you know this is a big one. This is
huge.
The big preview for WrestleMania Vegas, WrestleMania 42. There's a lot to get into. It's a 13-match card. This is actually Tony and I's first WrestleMania preview, so we're very excited to do it. And let's get into it, man. I'm Phil Fresh here with you, and also my tag partner, Tony Free. Tony Free, how are we feeling? Week of WrestleMania.
Oh, I thought it was week 2 of Coachella that was the talking point here. You know,
hey,
fresh off Biebercella playing karaoke off his YouTube videos.
Were you rocking with that?
I actually was. I don't mind that at all. I thought it was pretty cool and nice meme-worthy moments out of that.
I loved it, man. I was a big fan of it. But yeah, I mean, I forgot that it does happen over 2 weekends. So he's running it back this week. I hope he pulls up like some wrestling highlights. I don't know if he's like even a wrestling fan, but the thought of that would be kind of awesome. How are you, TF?
I'm good. It's actually weird saying it's WrestleMania weekend because I don't know if I'm getting old or it's just a reflection of the current product, but I'm actually not that excited for WrestleMania this weekend as I compared to what I expected I would be, which is a weird thing to kind of get my head around at the moment.
You know, I kind of hear where you come from. It because, you know, our mate Ned, our boy Ned, shout out to Ned listening. He did ask, you know, like a few days ago, just being like, does it feel like Mania week for anyone? And, you know, honestly, no. You know, the feeling isn't there. But I did say, you know, closer to the date, it'll start to feel that way. You know, once we see all these, like, you know, I mean, all the wrestlers are doing interviews, they're doing press. You know, once those kinds of videos comes out, like, it'll start to, like, amp up the excitement. But, yeah, normally we feel it at the start of the week, if not the week before. But there's a lot to get into. So why don't we just dive right into our preview, our predictions for WrestleMania 42. But, you know, we're going to give ourselves a challenge here. There's a lot of time that this could go on for a while. You know, there's 13 matches. Normally an episode of us, you know, a normal episode goes for about an hour, just over an hour. So we are going to try and limit all of our discussions, our chats, to 5 minutes. All right, 5 minutes max. As soon as that 5 minutes is up, we got to move on to the next match. We got to share our predictions and move on. Tony Free, do you reckon you can contain everything you need to get off your chest for in 5 minutes?
Hey, there's a lot of, well, not a lot, but there's a few matches on this card which I think I'd probably only give 30 seconds of time to. That's how much care I have for them. So I think we might actually fly under the clock tonight or today.
Come on, man! You're gonna get excited. Look, I'm even wearing my WrestleMania 33 shirt, the ultimate thrill ride.
Hey, I'm just wearing a plain white tee today because that's how I feel about this.
Wow. Also, 33 should have been high in the tier ranking, but anyway, let's do it. Let's start with night one, WrestleMania Saturday. We might as well just start off with the main event: Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, Tony Free. The time starts now. Go.
Well, we spoke about Jelly Roll and the expected involvement that he would have. And yes, it looks like it's all coming to fruition now. Jelly Roll is inserting himself into this clusterfuck of Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and Pat McAfee that nobody asked for. We asked for a 20-year story here to come to a head. And instead, we're getting a bunch of bullshit thrown in that has nothing to do with this at all. I don't know what the hell's going on. It's a complete mockery of a night one main event, complete mockery of the standing of these two guys who are, you know, definite Hall of Famers. The fact that these two guys finally meeting in a main event of WrestleMania and we're getting the rest of this crap thrown in, it's disgraceful. It's sad.
It feels like, it feels like they've just taken away the attention, right? Like I'm thinking about Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee and their involvement more than I am the actual feud between Cody and Randy. Yeah, look, there's a lot of like, and this one's actually hard for me to pick because I don't know which way they're gonna go. I don't know what this looks like after WrestleMania. I don't even know if are Jelly Roll and Pat gonna be there after WrestleMania. My intuition is telling me probably not. I don't know where this goes. If I had to pick a winner, I guess it would be Cody Rhodes, but that's like with no confidence in my opinion. That's where I'm at 23.
I'm going with, with last year with John Cena winning the WWE Championship from Cody Rhodes, and that being a god awful storyline as well. I'm going with them giving it to Randy Orton, and somehow they're continuing this Pat McAfee bullcrap. And I'm going to say that there's going to be a turn here from Jelly Roll. I think Jelly Roll aligns himself with Randy Orton and helps cost Cody Rhodes his championship.
God, man, I'm only imagining the backlash, the reactions from the internet if that
Oh, it's going
actually
to be
comes to
bad.
fruition. It'll be bad. It's already bad as it is now. Imagine if that happens. You know what? If I the only way that this whole thing gets saved, right, is if let's say Cody wins, Randy's in the ring with Pat, and Pat's trying to cheer him up. The only way that this can get fixed is if Randy just RKO's Pat. Hell, even chuck a punt in there. Punt the guy who made a living off of punting balls and punt him in the head. Move on. That way, that's the only way that this thing gets saved. One prediction that I will lock in: we do get one punt this week. I won't say like I'm not confident that it'll be on Pat McAfee, but I feel like that's what we get. And also, now that I'm saying it out loud, the connection between Randy Orton having the punt and Pat McAfee being a punter. It feels like something's in the water there. Do you have any other ideas, any thoughts for this one?
Man, I stopped caring about this thing 2 weeks ago when Pat came in. So but the thing is, like so before Pat came in, like we had Steph showing up on Monday Night Raw talking to Cody. We had the big I guess return of Randy Orton to being that guy who listens to the voices in his head, and none of that narrative has been revisited since Pat McAfee has come in, which is sad. And it's obviously been a big swerve in creative because of the influence of TKO. And I hope somehow they draw the narrative back to that. But the way they've built this up in the last couple of weeks with McAfee and Jelly Roll, it just doesn't look like they're getting back on track with that. There's going to be a lot of bullshit, probably not not the kind that we want. So yeah, unfortunately, not very excited for this main event, but I wouldn't mind seeing Cody Rhodes being forced to, I guess, maybe become a little bit darker after this WrestleMania.
It feels like that's the only way it can go. All right, dude, 4 minutes. We got that done. Let's move on to the next one. The Women's World Championship match, Stephanie Vaquer versus Liv Morgan. Now, I mean, the time starts now, but Tony Frey, I got to ask you, but before we get into your predictions of this, as a Liv Morgan stan, as a Liv Morgan fan, Liv Morgan dropped a music video this week called Trouble.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, this is let me get my shit off first. I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was weird. The dust has settled, and I actually think it's whatever. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at with the music and the music video. I would love to hear your thoughts on this one.
So the music video for me was a little cringe, but I do think this will be a very good. I do think this will be a very good entrance song for Liv Morgan, a new one. I think that she'll be
Oh,
debuting this at WrestleMania as her new entrance song. And when I put it in that context and trying to visualize, her coming to the ring and things like that, it actually really suits. So I think it's a really good
wow.
thing. I like that it's her vocals on it as well. As much as I didn't enjoy the music video as much as I like looking at Liv Morgan, but yeah, I think as an entrance song, this might actually be a good thing.
The thought of it being turning it into because it is kind of similar to the theme song, right? Or is it the exact
Yeah,
same? And it's like the
it's
instrument.
got little elements of that, like
Yeah. Okay.
the start of
Wow.
it. Yeah.
That's a good shout. Yeah, I could see her walking down to the ring with that one. There was also a little brawl after on Raw between her and Stephanie. It's this build. I've been really enjoying it. You said last week that this might be match of the night. I can't argue with that. There was also, if I could just say, there was a lot of emphasis here on Kathy Kelly getting hurt in this segment. When I watched the segment live, I was like, it didn't look that bad. When I rewatched the segment, I was like, it still didn't look that bad. So the fact that Michael Cole mentioned, spoke about it twice. Do you see a scenario where Kathy Kelly stops being a backstage, presenter, interviewer, whatever, and starts getting into the graphs? Do you see a world where this could happen?
Well, first of all, Kathy Kelly, poor girl, it's her first bump that she's ever taken in a WWE ring. So we'll give her that. But I do think that moving forward, Kathy Kelly will be the manager of the Judgment Day. She will be a heel manager for the Judgment Day. There was a little bit of talk about this, I think, maybe last year, about Kathy Kelly moving more into I guess, a managerial role on WWE TV. And I think that, a manager of a Judgment Day is probably a good way for her to go.
I'm not mad at it going down like that. I'm glad you feel that way too, because I was like, they keep bringing this up. They wouldn't do anything on TV, if it didn't mean nothing. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at with that. But to the prediction, look, Stephanie Vicaire has been champion for, I don't even know when, but since late, last year, right?
Just before Crown Jewel.
Just before Crown Jewel, she's been great. I really love what she's brought to this feud, to the storyline, to this build. But Liv Morgan has been that girl, and especially with you, when you add a music video and a song to someone, you don't just do that and then have them do nothing afterwards. So I'm tipping a new champ here. I'm going with Liv Morgan on this one. What are you saying, Tony?
Yeah, I'm saying Liv as well, and I think Liv has, I guess, a bigger variety of opponents that she can take on afterwards. Like, of course, she'll have Raquel and Roxanne there when, there's a turn that eventually happens. So that's two opponents straight off the bat. And, and of course, like the rest of the roster who are currently faces. So I think it really works really well because, Io, Rhea, for instance, just those two alone, that's 4 high quality feuds just named off the bat. So I think there's plenty of options there for Liv Morgan as champion. So definitely think with her, she's already been, champion before, a face of a company, so to speak. And she's already doing, a lot of the press sort of stuff and the appearances, whether that's, at sports games or, red carpet, movie premieres, things like that. She is that girl. So I do think, putting the championship on her now at WrestleMania is the right move.
May look, you're talking about potential opponents afterwards. Maybe one of them is in this next match that we talk about, which is the Women's Intercontinental Championship. AJ Lee defending against Becky Lynch. Look, where I'm at with this match. I mean, it's nothing against. It's not a knock on the wrestlers. I think the match itself will be great, but I've seen it already, and I didn't really get anything out of it back then. I'm not getting anything out of it now. So really, my thoughts on this are quite minimal. I'm going to go straight to my prediction, and you can take the rest of the 5 minutes here, Tony, for you. But I'm predicting this one's also tough. I'm going to go with AJ Lee retaining here, and that's maybe with half confidence. I don't really know where this one goes, so I'm keen to hear what you think about this one, TF.
I'm going to keep it nice and short. Becky Lynch to retain here. AJ Lee can go back to doing whatever she was doing before. I don't see her sticking around full time like she has for the past few months leading into WrestleMania. I think, she's just there to kind of, get that moment and reconnect with the fans. It was great, I guess, business for both, like herself and the WWE bringing her in. But yeah, I think we've kind of gone to that well enough now. And, I think it's time to give that a little bit of a break. She can go have a breath and maybe come back a little bit later, a bit more refreshed. But yeah, I think we've kind of ran the course with AJ Lee for now. So we'll put the strap on Becky Lynch.
You know what? I don't even know if we have, because she's only really interacted with Becky Lynch. When you were talking about potential, future opponents for Liv if she wins, a Liv Morgan AJ Lee feud would be fire. I really think that on the mic, in the ring, Even
I
just the
know,
build
I know who's
towards
carrying
the
that feud.
storyline. Yo, really? I see. Listen, Liv is great. Don't get me wrong, but don't be sleeping on AJ Lee, man. I feel like those two can work on something amazing. I just think that this feud. The problem is that look, and I guess it's what you were saying, but more specifically, this feud has run its course. So I look. I don't think AJ Lee goes after WrestleMania. Maybe we see her more on a part-time schedule, but yeah, let's leave it at that and let's move on to the next one, which is the Women's Tag Team Championship, the Fatal Four Way, the Irresistible Forces defending against the Bella Twins, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, as well as Bailey and Lyra Valkyria. Um, Hey, I'll let you start, Tony Free. I don't really know where to go with this one.
Look, I haven't enjoyed any of this build. I think it's been poorly booked. I don't need these little one-on-one matches where it just ends up being the same finish with, all these girls in the ring pushing each other and staring each other down.
Yeah,
I do think Bailey and Lyra win the match. I think it's deserved considering
really.
Bailey was pushed off the card last year. Bailey and Lyra have been on a really good run. First of all, starting off as opponents and now teaming together. I think putting the straps on them would be great. Also just like putting it on a couple of faces at the moment. We've kind of had, the Kabuki Warriors, the Irresistible Forces carrying those championships. Alexa and Charlotte have already carried them for a little while. The Bellas, we don't need to see them with the belts in 2026. So I do feel like putting it on Lyra and Bailey would be the right move, considering they're pretty much like workhorse. They'd be workhorse champions with those tag team titles.
Dude, and Lyra and Charlotte, they had a match on Raw. It was solid, man. Like, yeah, I do agree with you though. Like having these one-on-one matches for however long, and say ending the same where like there's a disagreement in the ring between all the teams. Like, it's tired booking. Look, I don't think that Nia and Lash Legend drop the belt here. I think they hold it here. Um, I think between the Bella Twins, Charlotte and Alexa and Bailey and Lyra, like they need to. Those are all big names, and they can remove themselves from the tag division. They don't need to be tagging anymore. We need some new life in the women's, title pictures. So, no, like, let's get rid of this whole tag team fiasco and let them go their solo, do their single run again. Because especially Charlotte, man, like Charlotte has improved a lot. Like, she's had a lot of like what would you say? What's the phrase? She's kind of been stuck in the mud a little bit. In the last however many years since she's come back. I feel like now we're starting to see a little bit more momentum from Charlotte, and I think now's the time to go. And they were teasing that Jade and Charlotte thing. I need to see it separated, but I'm gonna tip the Irresistible Forces to hold the belts here. Any other remaining thoughts? We've got 2 minutes 30 left on the clock. TF.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, I'm just going through my head at the moment. Like, are there any returns that we're expecting at WrestleMania that could potentially get involved in, I don't know, maybe this match or the previous, the world title match between
Like
Liv and,
women's
and
women's
Raquel?
versus.
Yeah. Yeah, because, there are some girls on the shelf at the moment. Maybe it might come up later. But I'm thinking, like, Bianca Belair's going to be back soon, surely.
She has to be back. I mean, you can also think about NXT. Maybe there's a Blake Monroe, maybe there's a JC Jane. Who knows, man? I mean, yeah, it is wide open, but I think the big one is definitely Bianca Belair, and I'm curious to see, where she lands, whether it's on Raw or SmackDown, and who she goes after. But maybe we'll get our answer once we get, throughout the rest of the card. But let's do just that. Let's move on to the next one. Seth Rollins, Gunther. Now on Raw, we saw something that started off quite similar with a blindside attack. But Seth does, tell Gunther to come back and explain to him why he wants this match, why he's going for Seth, and Gunther basically just says, "Brother, you've been ducking me, and now's the time to do it. You've been ducking me this whole time. When I was champ, when you were champ, you don't want it with me. Neither of us have got nothing on. This is the best time to do it. I'm here to prove myself. I'm here to show that while you claim you're the best wrestler in this company, you cannot lace my boots. Tell you what, I might be more interested in this match than the Cody Randy Orton match."
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I know it'd be like it's the match is gonna slap, but I think like we've spoken the last couple of weeks, I'm more excited for what happens after this, and I think it's starting to be laid out now, like what's gonna happen here with Gunther and Paul Heyman and likely Brock Lesnar. So yeah, I know the match would be fun because we haven't seen these two guys in singles action in a match before, so it's cool we're getting it at WrestleMania. But yeah, like it's been a late start to this rivalry. What, 2 weeks or something like that now? So 2 or 3 weeks. But yeah, I know it'll slap. But yeah, I'm more excited for what comes after this. And this being on Saturday, I don't see any interjection from Brock Lesnar at the moment. Um, I think it
No,
opens up. It might open up for something happening. That first match on Sunday if Gunther was to, go to Las Vegas again into the Allegiant Stadium and maybe make his presence known during that match. But I think at the moment, like in terms of my predictions, I think Gunther has to win. But for that to happen, we might have to see some sort of interference from maybe a Braun Breaker.
that's exactly where I was going. I was thinking that as well. I think Gunther wins here due to a Braun Breaker return and him costing Seth the match. Yeah, because I can only imagine that. Yeah, Paul Heyman wouldn't be out for this match. Hey, like or maybe maybe he's part of that interference. Perhaps. Do you see it going that way?
Yeah, I think maybe he comes to the ring later on, like during the match
I think he has to,
with Braun.
right?
Yeah, it makes sense.
But man, that Braun Breaker pop, I, the rumors have been, saying that he's, getting set for a return. He's been spotted at the Performance Center. It's been, when did Royal Rumble finish? Like, was that at the start of Feb? It's been,
Start of Feb.
you know, what, like 8, 10 weeks now? No,
Yeah,
10 weeks?
10 and 12, something like that now.
Is it really? Oh
Yeah.
my god, that's been ages. So yeah, I mean, I'm not no doctor. I'm not an athlete. I've never had a hernia, so I don't know how long that shit takes. But I would imagine that it's by now sorted. So yeah, I think we get a Gunther win here. Like you're saying, what happens afterwards is going to be interesting, not just for Gunther, and potentially what happens when him, Paul, and Brock, but also what happens with Seth Rollins as well. Even if Seth Rollins wins, what do you do from there? Like it could go either way, but I'm confident, feeling more confident about this one that Gunther wins this match, and I reckon it will slap as well. Let's get to the two matches that will be free to air on ESPN. The opening matches of the whole WrestleMania weekend. We'll start with the unsanctioned match between Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu, as Wade Barrett likes to say. You know what I really want from this match? I want it to be creative. If we're going unsanctioned, it really has to be unsanctioned. I don't mean just like get into the crowd. I need
Oh,
to
they're going to
see
be out
some
in the strip.
backstage shit.
They're going to be out in the Las
They
Vegas
need
strip.
to
That's where
be
I want to
out
be.
on the strip. Seriously, they legit need to be out there. I need to see some celebrity some cameo in there. If they really want to do that, call it an unsanctioned match. They need to do it like that, Tony Free. Hey, we're in sync, brother. I like how you're thinking.
Yeah, they got to do a lot here, especially being one of these matches on ESPN where they've got the chance to, I guess, maybe grab a few casuals or new fans and get them across into watching the actual PLE. So yeah, I think they have to go all out in this match, and I guess that's probably what's exciting because these two guys can they literally could just beat the shit out of anybody, and I think the fact that it's these two guys beating the shit out of each other is a really fun thing to watch. I'm just not sure what kind of because we've seen these like recently we've seen Solo Sokoa and Jacob Fatu having some interactions backstage. They had one on SmackDown this past week. And I'm just starting to wonder if we get Solo interjecting in, some of these matches on WrestleMania weekend because the MFTs, they're not booked for any WrestleMania matches. They've had some run-ins with the Usos on Raw this week, and as I said, Jacob
True.
Fatu on SmackDown. So, is there something happening there? I'm not sure.
It would be interesting, yeah. I feel like they've been putting that on TV, and it makes it's well that says to me is like, remember this, like this is important. But when you really think about it, I mean, Drew doesn't mess with the MFTs either. Like he hates any Samoan that gets signed to WWE. So in that sense, in that regard, it wouldn't really make sense. But the more I'm thinking about this, like starting or ending up in the strip or of Las Vegas. I mean, do unsanctioned matches have to start in the ring? Is that the rule? Because it would be great if it really, because they would have like some like countdown or some pre WrestleMania like panel or something, outside the stadium like they did last year. They could really, because we've seen it as well. Drew McIntyre showing up at the post show conferences at the panels. I mean, what's stopping them from like starting it there and working their way towards the stadium through the crowd, and then in the thing, like the more I think about it, I'm actually really excited for this match. And yeah, the fact that it's on the first hour free, like yeah, you need something that's gonna get they just need to capture the attention of one person who just happens to walk past it. So that I think would do it. So man, I'm excited about this on Tony Free.
What are you thinking for predictions though? Who's going to win the match?
I think. Oh, do you have? Let me cook in this one. Do you have one?
I do. Drew McIntyre is
hear
the
it.
most. Drew McIntyre is the go-to jobber in WWE. Whenever they need someone to take a loss, they somehow find a way to give it to Drew McIntyre. So I'm firmly of the belief here that Jacob Fatu gets a breakthrough win at WrestleMania and pins Drew McIntyre.
You know what? You've sold me on it. Yeah, I think that's how it has to be. Drew McIntyre getting the win. He's due for a win, especially in a match like this. Someone like a Jacob Fatu can take an L. And also, I'm just looking back because I was curious about who won last year's match. Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre has just had this match. This is the second time he's had a match like this. Last year, they had a Sin City street fight. Now he's doing an unsanctioned match in the same damn place. Mate, talk about rinse and repeat. I tell you what, man.
Did Priest
Drew
win that
deserves
match as
better.
well?
You know what? I actually have no idea, to be honest with you. It doesn't. I can't even see.
Because I felt like Drew was just
point is-
losing for a long time leading into him winning that championship earlier this
Oh
year.
no, Drew won last year. Drew
won. Okay, maybe.
Oh, so you know what that means?
Yeah, it means he's losing this year.
Yeah, yeah. They
He's had
gave
his
the win
moment.
last year, mate. Yeah,
Yeah, he's had his
exactly.
moment.
We can't even go back to back. All right, let's move on to it'll really be the first match of the whole weekend. The Vision, Logan Paul, Austin Theory, joined by IShowSpeed up against the Usos and LA Knight. I mean, if the unsanctioned match is going to have some tomfoolery, some hullabaloo, I can only imagine what this one's going to have. Tony Free, let's run through it.
I'll use this one in as least amount of words as I can put because that's how much I care for this match. So, yeah, don't really have much care for this at all. Hopefully, it's over in 5 minutes, and I'm just going to say that the Usos and LA Knight should win. Otherwise, I'll write.
Okay, and that's it. I do think that the Usos and LA Knight will win as well. I think Speed will have some fun moments. I mean, even just him just jumping over LA Knight on Raw. Was it last week or was it this week? Can't remember. Was kind of fun. The last time we saw him do a move, I mean, on WWE TV was him getting absolutely torn into pieces by Braun Breaker at the Royal Rumble. I think it'll be fun, but yeah, look, didn't really care too much for this match. I will say one prediction on top of the original prediction is that Tom Brady will get involved in this match. He is a part owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. He's been having his beef with Logan Paul. I don't see why he won't show up there. And, maybe he will stop Logan Paul from getting the brass knucks. Maybe it's something like that. But yeah, I'm going with the Usos and LA Knight on this one. Did you notice that there was a slightly new theme song for the Usos this week? Did you catch that?
Yeah, did they change the song again? But it's just saying it's just Usos. Is that what they said?
Yeah, yes, they did. They've changed it. God knows how many times they've changed it. They didn't need to change it in the first place. but they've got now a third version of the same song, which is them saying it's just us.
And everyone's just still
Um,
eating.
yeah, like
I mean, it's an improvement on that one they rolled out 2 weeks ago. That
definitely.
that trash entrance music they had.
I don't even know why
So
they did that in the first place. It did. They didn't. No one asked for it. You know what I
just
mean?
run
No
with
one.
it. Just run their OG song.
Yeah, just run it back. It's just us. It's us. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. All right, cool. That is night one. WrestleMania Saturday in the books. Now it's time to move on to night two. WrestleMania Sunday. Let's do it the same way. Let's start with the main event, the World Heavyweight Championship. I feel like we could take our time with this one, Tony Free. I don't know where you're at, but let's talk about it. CM Punk defending his championship against the OTC Roman Reigns. I'll let you start.
I mean, yeah, this probably deserves the most time. This is, the night two main event. It's the storyline that's probably had the most interesting developments in it for the last 2.5 months. And I've enjoyed it. Like, it's been a little bit of a slow burn since we had the original first promo on Raw after the Royal Rumble. But other than that, like, it's been really good. There's been a lot of talking points coming out of this, and a lot of truths being spoken. And that was a big theme on Monday Night Raw this week. Was they pretty much came out and they laid out why they hate each other, why they view each other the way they do.
Did
And
you
I
enjoy
guess
that? I'm curious to
I
know
did
your thoughts.
because
Yeah.
from you could understand both perspectives. You can't
Yep.
just pick a side and say, "Oh, yep, I'm with Roman Reigns on that one," because when CM Punk said something, you're like, "Oh, yeah, actually, that's true as well." So,
Yep.
yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like, it was they laid it out there, and I think, yeah, like it's one of those matches. Like, it's going to be interesting to see what the reception is to both of them. There was a moment there on Monday Night Raw where we thought like it was going to start some CM Punk chants, and instead we hear OTC. But then there's also some things, CM Punk was saying things, and the crowd's in agreement with him. So it's going to be split. I'm not sure what the split's going to look like, if it's 50-50 or if it's 70-30, things like that. But I think, yeah, I'm really keen for this one. This is the match that I'm waiting for this whole weekend.
Yeah, this one has some hype to it. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed it as well because we've already seen everything that we needed to see. We saw the brawl, we saw what started the argument, but what we haven't seen was, and really, I feel like this is only really from Punk's side, him being like honest. Roman was right. Him saying, "I need you to tell the truth," and he did, and it was just what it needed. He's talking about I'm jealous. I'm envious that you were born into this. I'm envious about all your main events. I'm envious about 1,300 days. And then even Roman saying, I'm envious that these guys love you, and they don't love me like that. It was the most honest thing ever, and it was perfect. It was a perfect way to end, on the go home show to end this build. But now to the match. Unfortunately, there's a little thing, a little noise in the back of my ear. It's telling me that Pat McAfee will get involved in this match.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't, and I'm trying to silence it out. But no matter what I do, that voice is still there telling me that Pat McAfee will get involved in this match. And I'm very concerned by it.
I have that as well. Just a tiny bit, but it's enough to make me worried.
Yes, exactly. It's just, it won't go away. It's just always there. With that in mind, I think Roman Reigns becomes the new champion. It's been too long. It's been way too long, and the writing's on the wall. I'm taking the OTC to take back the championship.
I'm going with CM Punk to win his first WrestleMania main event. Roman Reigns has had enough of them. CM Punk probably deserves to win a main event at this stage. And I think if the timing works out really well here, we can get back into Seth Rollins and CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. So I need CM Punk to hold that title so we can get back into that, because That might be our SummerSlam main event. Seth Rollins versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship,
What do you do
which
with
I'm
Roman Reigns after that?
Roman can go into whatever he wants. I would like to see Roman versus Jay at the moment,
You want to run it
especially
back?
now, especially now that the Usos don't have those tag titles. Maybe Jay, you know, let's talk about the build into this. There was a couple weeks there where Jay was calling the shots. Jay was kind of losing his head and, was really triggered by some of the things that CM Punk had to say. Maybe Jay Uso does get involved in this match, but he costs Roman Reigns the win. And then we can start a rivalry between Jay and Roman. And this time it's
Yeah.
different because they're both former world champions.
Hey, and you know what? 2-1. That is actually 5 minutes. Hey, you know what? Let's leave it on that one. I'm rocking with it, Tony Free. Let's move on to the next match. The WWE Women's Championship. Jade Cargill defending against Rhea Ripley. You know, if I'm looking at the card, this in terms of hype for me, this one's towards the bottom. I think it started off with there was potential there, and they just have not, met that potential, unfortunately, in my opinion. We're seeing Io Sky get involved now, and it's almost similar to the way Jay and Gunther was built last year when Gunther was, when he beat the hell out of Jimmy while Jay had to watch. But this one's different because they're just friends, It's not really family. It's not his brother.
No.
Like they're just friends. Like so, it didn't really hit the same. Um, I don't know. I don't know where I want to go with this one. To be honest, Tony Free, what are you saying?
Look, I know this is not going to be one of the greatest matches in WrestleMania history. It won't even be one of the greatest women's matches in history if we compare it to the triple threat that we had last year, or Charlotte versus Rhea, or there's a handful that you can go to. It's not going to be in that caliber, this match, and unfortunately, that's because Jade Cargill is in the match. She is not at that level of performer that, some of the women before her who have had world title matches at WrestleMania are at. And that's just the reality of it. And that might be why some of this doesn't really generate the interest that it probably should have. Because let's be honest, I'm not sure if anyone's taken back by Jade Cargill performances at the moment. I don't think even like since she's come in, if there's ever been a time when we've gone, wow, that Jade match was really good. Um, the fact now that they're adding, we've got BFAB and Michin involved in this just does nothing as well. EO has been, I guess, like left in the dark a little bit. Like she
Yeah,
was the world champion last year at WrestleMania, and she's going in not having a match at all, which I think is, yeah, it's a real head scratcher, that one. I think the right decision here is to move the belt onto Rhea because everything Jade is doing is not doing it. It's not getting to its desired effect. Rhea, then you'd have to move over to SmackDown. That's the only thing that I'm kind of juggling with in my head as to who wins this match and what happens moving forward. Ideally, I'd like to see Jade Cargill retain the championship and have Bianca Belair take it off her. But I need to know that Bianca Belair is coming back very soon because I can't wait till SummerSlam or Money in the Bank for someone to take this title off Jade. So it needs to happen ASAP. So I might just go with Rhea taking this championship off her this weekend.
look, you're saying the right thing to do is for Rhea to win, but I'm saying the thing that needs to happen, this one, the most important thing to happen, is Jade retaining. I don't think Rhea needs. She doesn't need it. She is Rhea Bloody Ripley. She's Rhea. She doesn't need a belt to prove that she is, top of the card. I think Jade, while I do agree that hasn't been performing as well as we'd all hoped when she made her debut into the company. But I do think that now that she's got BFAB and Michin around her, with reports of Bianca coming back, I just think there's way more to unfold there, and I just don't think that this was the right fit. Like these two matching up at WrestleMania. So I'm going to go with Jade Cargill to retain here, and then maybe we can, get into the Bianca Belair and the Rhea Ripley of it all. If I have to think about what's happening after for Rhea, I'll get there when I get there. Shall we move on, Tony Free?
Yeah, I think next match we can get into is maybe I don't know. I think maybe you might be more excited. I would say you're more excited for this than I am, and that's the United States Championship. Sami Zayn defending that title against Trick Williams.
I actually am really excited. I think Trick Williams, what we were talking about, someone, moving up and, performing to the potential that we all thought. Trick Williams he's actually even exceeded it. We all know he was going to be a star, and he's already so quickly just gone, surpassed that bar that we all set. I think this build has been great, especially with the way that the crowds have been, reacting to Sami Zayn and the way that Sami Zayn has been feeding into it. I'm enjoying Lil Yachty's involvement in it. Everything is great. I'm a big fan. You know what I'm really most excited about is this entrance. I'm very excited to see how this entrance plays out at WrestleMania for Trick Williams. Not talking about Sami Zayn, obviously. But man, who do I think will win here? I don't think Trick wins here. I think Sami Zayn retains the belt, but on some bullshit. Because, last week they had, it was Sami and Carmelo for the belt. And Sami won in a way that was kind of, not the babyface way that he normally would. And I think that was the tell. And I think he's going to lead into it more, especially at this match at WrestleMania. Obviously, the crowd's going to be way more behind Trick Williams than they are Sami Zayn. So it only makes sense for this to be a double turn. So I'm going with Sami Zayn retaining the belt here. Tony Free?
Yeah, it's probably the hardest match to pick a winner for me on this whole WrestleMania card for both nights. Because, I do see both sides of it. And I just don't know what... I haven't known for the last 2 years what the hell they're doing with Sami Zayn. I don't know what they're doing with him afterwards. Are they planning a world title run for him? I don't know. If they are, then he has to lose the belt here at WrestleMania. But I have a feeling that they're not doing that yet with him. So I feel like he has to retain at WrestleMania.
Yeah. I think it's going that way. There's also I can't, remove the fact that I think they will go back to the Carmella Hayes thing as well. That'll happen post WrestleMania. Maybe that will be a big match coming up to, is it Backlash? Surely it's Backlash, right?
Yeah, I think it's Backlash. Yeah.
Backlash. So, yeah, look, I think it makes sense for Sami Zayn to win here. I actually think it's quite, for me, that was an easy pick. So, with that, let's move on to the next one. The Demon, Finn Balor, returns at WrestleMania up against Dirty Dom. Actually, before we, probably get into this, did you see that that cover, that photo shoot that Dirty Dom did?
The paper magazine cover?
Bruh.
I think Liv did one as well.
She did, yes. Dude.
Yeah, I think both of them really cool.
Shout out to that guy.
I like both of those shoots, especially Dom's. Yeah, very swaggy, I'll say.
Very swaggy. But now onto the match. Look, when was the last time we saw the Demon? Was that WrestleMania against Edge? Was it that?
Yeah,
was it that long ago?
Hell in a Cell versus Edge, where
3 years.
Where Finn busted himself up really, really bad. So,
oh my gosh, and it took a while for that to get fixed. I remember that.
This thing might be cursed. The Demon.
Oh.
I don't know if I'm rocking with needing Demon Finn Balor in this. Not for this feud anyway. I don't feel like this is a feud that's reached the point where we need to bring out the Demon. I don't know. Is that just me?
Look, I'm thinking about it. I understand where you're coming from, because it feels like this should have been built a little bit better. Like, it kind of felt, I don't want to say it was random or out of nowhere, but they could have gone in a little bit deeper than they have. A few days away from their match. I like, when you're in a group with someone for what, 4 years, 3 years now, and it gets to that point where they kick you out, Demon, that does make sense, but I understand your hesitations with it.
Yeah, it's just I don't know if I don't know if it's a demon thing or they haven't told this story probably the way I was anticipating because it felt like for the last 12 months leading into it that there was more intrigue around it then, with the little side eyes and, the scheming backstage in the clubhouse, things like that. I feel like that was more juicy than, what we're getting at the moment, ever since they had the turn on Finn. And like Dom, I just can't put in that category of like being someone I really want to hate and, see someone, seeing him, I don't want him to lose. I actually want Dom Mysterio to win again at WrestleMania. And that's what I'm going to say is going to happen here. Dom Mysterio gets another dub at Mania.
You know what? Can I be honest? I think this match is the bathroom match. This might be me.
Yeah, it does feel like that.
I'm gonna
bit.
go to the bathroom. Because I know that I'm not missing anything. That's how I feel about it. It's an unfortunate one because I like both of these guys. But your tip and Dom, look, I don't think you bring back the demon for him to lose. I know, although it happened, it's happened before. We've seen it happen before. And Finn is, mate, it's been too long. He needs a win here. So I'm going with the demon taking out this match. Let's move on to the first two matches of the night. Free to air on ESPN. The Intercontinental Championship ladder match. Javon Evans, Rusev, Dragon Lee, JD McDonough, Rey Mysterio, and the champ himself defending it, Penta. On Raw, we saw Rusev stand tall. He took out everyone, which, I mean, and I know, and people who maybe listen to this podcast know, whoever stands tall, they ain't winning that thing.
Hell no.
So I think we can rule out Rusev, right?
Yeah, Rusev not winning this match. And look, this match will be really, really good. Like, no doubts about it. This will be at least, on a Meltzer scale, at least 4 stars, this match. But let's be honest.
All right.
There should be no one else winning this besides Penta. I think this is a foregone conclusion that Penta wins the match. We're just going to have a really fun match before we get to that point. And no one else should win this besides Penta.
No one else. Okay, so we've ruled out Rusev. You're ruling out Dragon Lee.
Yep. Easy.
JD McDonough, easy.
Yep.
Rey Mysterio.
Yep, past it. Javon Evans. You're not going to like this, but I'm not with Javon Evans fully at the moment. It's too catered
What's
to
holding
little
you back?
Kids. He's just too catered to little kids. Like
see, now you sound old.
The presentation, like 6'7" was a thing 8 months ago. Why are we still selling merch with 6'7" on it? Why is he still doing like that? Like that boat has sailed a long time ago. Like he's literally just catered to no pun intended, 6 to 7 year old children. I don't need.
Maybe that's what it is then.
Like he's just too corny for me. I don't want him winning an IC title right now. He needs to get a little bit more serious for me to take him in that manner.
Look, I hear it. Yeah, I don't know why it's too on the nose, the 6'7" stuff, and the fact that he's young and he's cool. But I'm still rocking with him, man. As soon as he gets into that ring and that bell rings,
no doubt he's going to do crazy things in this ladder match. He'll do some of the
crazy shit,
the most wild things you've ever seen.
So, can I say, before we started recording this, I was going to say Penta. But now that we're here, I'm actually tipping Javon Evans to win the belt here. And the reason why that is, there are two things why, right? Javon Evans and Kofi Kingston have been, on TV teasing like this kind of like, let me mentor you. Javon's not really with it. If Javon wins and he's the Intercontinental Championship, his first feud will be against Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston, who has won the IC belt however many times, right? And having that OG and, pun intended, a young OG kind of dynamic, that could go for months. And I would be rocking with that. I really feel like that could be something. The other reason why I think Javon Evans wins here is because Penta, this man right here, how much pyro is he getting? Like they just add another thing every single week. The pyro budget is up, and the pyro budget to me reeks of world championship. Okay, so for those two reasons alone, and funny, one of them is in kayfabe, the other reason is outside kayfabe. This is just me from a logistics standpoint. The pyro is telling. So for me, he drops the belt, he moves on to something bigger. Javon Evans wins the belt, and he moves on to a feud with Kofi Kingston. What are your thoughts?
Too soon. I think Penta still needs a little bit more time before we throw him in the world title picture. He did have he was
That's
around.
Not too soon for. Did you say too soon for Penta or Javon?
For Penta, there was last
No.
year he was around that main event picture, but he wasn't he still wasn't one of those guys yet. He was around the Vision and things like that, and LA Knight. He was around those guys, but he wasn't. He was still that tier under. You can kind of just still feel it. I think he still needs to maybe have a little bit more of a run with this IC belt, because in reality he hasn't really defended it much. Let's be real.
He hasn't.
He hasn't. I'd like to see him go on a good run with this IC belt before we take it off him and start moving him into that world title picture.
Mate, get him up there. I think he's already there. Well, if you could have said it last year, 100%. He's already there, man. The crowd is so behind him. I've already spoken about the pyro. You see those clips of him, going his seeing those kids. Oh my days! They love him.
One thing we know: crowd connection does not matter at all. LA Knight, Sami Zayn, it doesn't matter with these guys. That does not factor in.
You've made two bad examples, and as the timer goes off, mate, I disagree. And that's the time is gone, so we have to move on. We have to move on. All right. The last match that we're going to cover, and hey, honestly, this could have been a main event. The Beast,
probably should be.
Brock Lesnar, up against the ruler, Obafemi. The way actually, I guess outside of Punk and Roman, actually no, I would say this build has been better. This has been the best built match of the whole weekend. You agree, Tony?
Yeah, and because I think they haven't overdone it. It's been very, I guess, no frills. They haven't overdone it. They haven't overcomplicated it. The dialogue has been very minimal between the two, and they've just kind of kept the focus on these two behemoths about to beat the shit out of each other. And that's what this is all about. This is what it should have been about from day one, and luckily they've stuck to it. So I agree. This is probably the best built match that they've had so far. I think it deserves to be night one main event at the moment. But it's going to be first match on night 2 on ESPN free to air, and I'm sure that will help get a lot of people across the line into tuning of the PLE because we already have the household name that is Brock Lesnar, a guy that's been a UFC champion before, NCAA heavyweight champion as well. And then having him in the ring against a guy like Obafemi, who just looks the way he does and can do the things that he does, it's an easy sell. So it's perfect. It's made in wrestling heaven, these two. Unfortunately, Brock Lesnar is a piece of shit, but hopefully that means that Obafemi is getting the win here.
You know what you said that I think has been the key here is that you said that they haven't overcomplicated things. And that's probably why it is the best built storyline, because all you need to do, and they could have done it with Cody and Randy, but all you have to do is go this guy and this guy, and they have this difference, and this is what it is. That's all it had to be. Brock is the guy. Paul Heyman saying that this is the new Undertaker match. It's the Brock match now at WrestleMania. Open challenge. I'm opening it up to anyone. Obafemi. I'll have it because I'm him. I'm the one. And that is it. That is all that this match needed. That is all that wrestling is about. That is all this is all we do here in wrestling. This is the only thing we need to do. This guy doesn't like this guy, so let's have a match. Mate, I'm so excited for this match. And I really need just some over the top. Now, I want to choose my words rightly here. I was going to say shenanigans, but I don't want shenanigans. I just want like monster truck type shit with this match. I need tables broken, barriers broken, maybe a referee bump in there as well. Like, and I need this to go at the most 10 minutes. Doesn't need to be any longer than 10 minutes. So now that I've gotten all of that out of the way, what I'm excited for and what I need from it, I've said it on this podcast before. I don't think an Oberfemi loss here is as a bad thing, but now that we are days away from it, WrestleMania week, Oberfemi has to win this match. The
100%.
way that they sold it on Raw, his promo on Raw as well, that's the only way that this can go. Oberfemi wins here, gets a big win against Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I agree. And, we've mentioned the Gunther part of this and, what's happening with him and Paul Heyman. Brock Lesnar is scheduled to be on the Raw after Mania. I think that will be the point where they start that Gunther and Brock Lesnar feud.
Interesting. I wonder how they get there. Maybe it's like, what, you reckon it's like a promo to open up Raw, Paul and Brock?
Gunther just comes out, puts him in a sleeper hold. Done. Perfect. That's all you need.
And then we don't see Brock for a bit until SummerSlam?
Yeah. You just get an angry Brock Lesnar coming out, furious that he's lost to Oberfemi at WrestleMania, embarrassed by Oberfemi at WrestleMania. He's in the ring, calling Ober out. Gunther slides in, sleeper hold. There's your SummerSlam main event.
Do you think that it could be a potential problem? Because I feel like the crowd will cheer for that. Do you think that that might be a problem?
Not at all. I think it's not a bad thing for Gunther to be getting cheered in that fashion. Sometimes there are careers that the WWE universe want to see killed, and this is one of them.
Hey, Tony B, there's something about you where your timing is on, because 2, 1, that's 5 minutes right there, mate. You've been killing it, and that's the preview right there. Yeah, man, you're on the clock. You know what's going on. Look, you mentioned it before.
Cues, man,
I think it is nice.
It's been perfectly booked.
It is worth. It's worth mentioning that you mentioned Io Sky missing WrestleMania. There's a whole bunch of names here that I'm curious to know who you're most surprised by. Okay, the wrestlers that are missing WrestleMania this year: Solo Sikoa, Io Sky, you mentioned, Tiffany Stratton, Ilya Dragunov, Ray Phoenix, Carmelo Hayes, Julia, Raquel Rodriguez, Roxanne Perez, and Damian Priest. A bunch of those names were on the card last year. Who do you reckon is the biggest blow? Is it Io Sky or is it someone else?
Look, there's a few more that are on the shelf. So we've obviously got Bron Breakker on the shelf at the moment, Bianca Belair on the shelf. They were all at WrestleMania last year. But the biggest one for me here, one of the active superstars of the moment is Tiffany Stratton. She held that WWE Women's Championship for, it was close to a year. It was a very long time. Didn't lose many matches at all in that time as well. Yes, it's weird not seeing her on this card.
She's undefeated.
Considering, how great she's been since she came out to the main roster. She's been prominently featured. So it's weird not seeing her at all on the card this year. Io Sky, obviously, we've touched on that. She's a huge miss off WrestleMania this year. Someone that I thought may have potentially been going in, as the Royal Rumble winner or as the champion. Wasn't the case, and not having a match at all. That's very hard to digest. The others, I can kind of see why they're not on. If we're talking like Solo, Ilya Dragunov, Ray Phoenix, Mello, Julia.
Ray Phoenix was on the card last year too.
One person that I want on the card, and unfortunately they're injured at the moment, is Chelsea Green. She needs a WrestleMania match, and it has to happen.
She deserved it.
It has to happen.
She deserved it. Yeah, agreed. You know what? The way that things have been moving with the MFTs, I would have loved to seen Solo get a spot on the card, or the MFTs in general. But man, there it is. There is the Graps and Yaps preview for WrestleMania 42. All right, thank you for joining us on this episode. Tony Free, you said at the start of this that you weren't feeling too excited. Now that we've gone through the card, are you feeling a little bit different? Are you feeling a little bit more hype in the chat?
A little bit, but I think there's
Oh,
three
for
matches.
God's
There's three
sakes.
matches that I'm really excited for, and that is Liv versus Stephanie. It is Oba versus Brock, and CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. The rest, I'm a bit about, but I'm sure when I wake up Sunday morning, I'll be ready to go.
All right, well, look, hopefully, I'm going to hold you to it, man. I don't want you being negative. On our, this is our Super Bowl here, the WrestleMania weekend. Normally we would get into our WrestleMania tier list. We only got a few more WrestleManias to rank, but we're gonna save it for next week's episode. We will finalize the tier rankings, and you guys can get your thoughts. I want to say thank you to everyone who's been following the polls on our social media. Make sure you're following at Graps and Yaps on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on X, and also we're posting these episodes on YouTube at Graps and Yaps. A couple episodes deep already, so make sure you subscribe there, leave a like, a comment, hey, show it to a mate as well. And of course on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I am excited for this one right here. Hey, do you want to preemptively, before we go, tier rank WrestleMania 42 Vegas? Where is this one going to go, Tony?
It happened. WrestleMania 42 happened.
You're taking the piss. You are taking the piss, mate.
Hey,
it happened.
This is not a 40 or a 41 or a 39. It's below all of those. And from memory,
a break.
From memory, we had 40 indecent. So I can't see this outperforming WrestleMania 40 or 41. 41 and 40 were both indecent.
Look, I think that this is safely indecent, if I'm being honest with you. But we can find out in a few days' time. WrestleMania weekend. Happy to WrestleMania week to everyone who celebrates, and looking forward to breaking it down next week. Tony Free, I'll see you next week, brother.
I'll see you then.